Hey guys, I'm Brian and welcome to my channel. The point of making this video is for me to introduce myself and talk about a series of instructional videos that I want to produce in the future. I'm a heavy metal musician. I write, record, and produce black metal music through my solo project Apathy, which you can find on this channel. I've been playing guitar for 8 years, and the reason why I want to start making videos now is based on my own experience. Whenever I wanted to learn a song and I couldn't figure it out by ear or find any tabs online, I'd go and look for an instructional video on the internet and see if I can learn how to play the song by watching someone else play. And one of the big things that I noticed from these videos is that they tend to avoid using music theory as an instructional tool, which I understand because not everyone's studied theory and the vocabulary can be confusing if you don't know the terminology. But what ends up happening instead is that a lot of these instructors, they'll either put the tabs up on the screen for you to read while they're demonstrating, or they'll actually go and break down each note by string and fret, which I think it's not very effective because it requires you to split your attention. You're not really paying attention to the guy. You're paying attention to your fretboard, which string. If you miss something, you gotta rewind back into the video and see what he played. All this stuff, what it'll do is if you learn it this way, it'll drill the song into your memory, but it doesn't really teach you what's going on musically. If you really want to understand music, I personally feel like it's important to develop a basic level of musical literacy. And by that I don't mean whether or not you can read music. I'm not saying you should study music for 10 years and get a degree, a PhD in music, because that's not something that I plan on doing myself. When I talk about theory, what I mean is the material that you're going to cover in a class like AP Music Theory, or if you're in college, Theory 101. And anyone who's taken these classes knows that what you learn is just simply scratching at the surface. It's kindergarten compared to what actual musical education is. And there's so many good resources online and videos on YouTube that you can look up to teach you this kind of knowledge, and really you can learn most of this stuff in about less than a month. An analogy that you might hear people say when they're talking about theory is they might say theory is the language of music, which I think is wrong. I personally see music as the language of music itself. It's a basic method of communication, and theory to music is the equivalent of grammar to language. If you're trying to read a book, you don't need to know what a participle is, but you really do need to know the alphabet, words, sentences, how they're built, and what their meanings are. So if we're going to keep with this analogy from music, I think if you want to understand music, it's important to learn intervals, chords, modes, the definitions of these things, examples of what they are, stuff like diatonic versus chromatic, chord progressions, sequences, and so on. And when I say musical literacy, this is what I mean. It's the vocabulary of basic music theory. So I'm going to end this video by giving an example of what to expect out of my other videos. I'm going to demonstrate how to play a melody from the song I Am the Black Wizards by Emperor. If you're not familiar, great song by a great band. I'm going to play it two ways. The first way, I'm going to break down each note by string and fret like I mentioned earlier, and then I'm going to compare that with an example of what to expect out of my future videos. And what I'm going to specifically apply is using an application of modes to show the same exact melody. So the melody sounds like this. It's tremolo picked, but since I'm on an acoustic guitar, that's not going to work. I'm just going to play the individual notes. It sounds like this. If I were to explain everything note by note, I'd have to go and tell you 5th string, 7th fret, 3rd string, 9th fret, 4th string, 9th fret, 5th string, 10th fret, 5th string, 9th fret, 5th string, 10th fret, 4th string, 7th fret, 4th string, 9th fret, 5th string, 8th fret, and I'm not going to finish because it's taken forever and it's really annoying for me, and that's just not how I like to see music. I think it's slow and it doesn't really, it doesn't connect any dots in my head. Instead, the way I'd break this melody down is to split it into 2 bars. The first bar is in E minor, and the melody is going to be 1 octave, 5, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5. The second part of the melody is in F Lydian, and you play it. It's 1 octave, 7, 6, 7, 5, 4, 5. So if you know what your modes are, you know what E minor is, you know what F Lydian is, and you know what I mean when I say these numbers, I'm talking about the interval within each mode, the interval, which is the relative distance between 2 notes. If you know what I'm talking about and you hear me say these things, it could instantly click inside your head, and that's why this stuff is important. And this is really as much as I'm going to include in my videos. Like I said, it's all that I personally know myself when it comes to theory. But even this kind of knowledge, it's helped me a lot as a musician. First and foremost, it trains your ear and it speeds up the learning process. When you can hear something, figure it out, and know exactly what's going on without even having to touch your guitar and grind it out by hand. So yeah, please stick around, keep checking this channel for updates. I really hope I can teach something with these videos, and I guess as a short teaser, my first series of videos are going to be just a bunch of riffs and licks, melodies by Agalloch. So if you're a fan of Agalloch, then please stick around